Hi everyone, it's Elizabeth here. So I wanted to do this video in regards to thoughts about empathy during times of chaos. So it's no secret that life is very chaotic for a lot of people. Stress and anxiety, specifically mental and emotional stress and anxiety, is all over the charts because some people are stressed financially. They're tapping into their savings. They don't know how they're going to pay rent next month. Other people, they've lost relatives and loved ones during this time. They can't say goodbye. Obviously, places like New York, it went kind of crazy there for a while, where the death toll was just going up immensely, and people who are working in healthcare, regardless of where you're at, was probably very, very stressful. So during this time, empathy seems to go all over the place. Not many people are happy with the situation. There are some people who think this whole situation is a hoax. There's other people who think, this is a horrible pandemic. Regardless of whether you think it's natural or man made, empathy is very much needed during this time. A lot of people right now, especially because we are so abundant in Western society, we've lived in comfort and through chronic entertainment for so long. A lot of us are really bored. We're stir crazy in our 700 square foot apartment, but a lot of them have lost touch or sight that they still have a job or that they are part of that social class that's protected. That if you work at a job that's work from home, and it's a more affluent paying job, you really are protected because you don't have to leave. Meanwhile, there are other people who are the ones who live more paycheck to paycheck, are the ones that are delivering your groceries and your packages, and they're the ones that are more susceptible to um, catching the disease because they are moving in and out of so many places. So I've had this thought or talk recently with some people, and empathy. This person put it the best that basically some people can feel empathetic toward others, such as during a natural disaster, but not everybody lives their life with day to day empathy of how their actions impact others. They don't have the ability to see through anyone else's perspective, just their own. So right now we're in a really sticky situation because you have some states or governments that are wanting to open up because the coronavirus isn't that bad um, in their community, and then you have other people who are freaking out like, whoa, we can't just open the floodgate just because of finances. So we need to have empathy in terms of our health and well-being, and for the healthcare workers who are already in high demand, especially in areas that have been infected more. And then we need to be empathetic also for people who are screwed financially, or people who've put their whole life savings and their life work into running and operating a successful business and seeing the revenue and the businesses plummet, or people have had to go bankrupt. They've had to file bankruptcy to close their business, or just people in general are on the brink of closing their business. This is kind of coming to a sense that we are so financially dependent that even something as such as some economies being closed for anywhere between 4 and 8 weeks has drastically impacted a lot of people's livelihood. But also, how long is it going to take for this to rebound? Maybe 2 or 3 years, just from 4 to 6 weeks of really money not being shuffled around the economy that much. So it's a little bit of a problem, especially because there's a lot of people who don't really get breaks. Like the real estate agents don't get breaks. Like, how amazing would it be if you could just not pay your rent or your mortgage just for the month of April? Like everybody would feel so bloody relieved. It's like, oh my God, I could pay my other bills, or I can afford food and things like that. But really, real estate, have they ever suffered? I mean, they didn't suffer back in 2008 when they were screwing everybody, but that's beyond the point of this video. You have a scale of empathy. You have the deficit area, which is like the narcissist psychopathy. They have no feeling. They can't feel anything. You have the other complete end of the spectrum, which is more highly sensitive people. Some people call themselves empaths. They are very intuitively gifted, in addition to having feelings and empathy for other people. And most people who live in the middle are just empathetic human beings, which are your everyday loving human that just wants to live a happy and healthy life. They want their communities to be happy and safe. and they want other people to succeed. Now, empathetic people can be highly manipulated because they kind of live in this bubble where they might not necessarily be in tune with psychic abilities, but they might not think that other people wouldn't cause or want to inflict harm on other people just because they wouldn't do it themselves. And basically it's like being kind of naive. We've all been there. A lot of us have gone through this awakening to see how morally corrupt a lot of systems are. And just thinking on that term of like using empathy, but your psychic ability to know when smoke is being blown in your face, basically. So, how do we move forward in this time? It's really difficult. I don't think I have an answer, but we need to have empathy for all areas. But the deep underlining root of wealth is your health. And if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. And then you're financially strapped and screwed in the long term because you're going to be addicted to pharmaceuticals. You're going to be having to go to the doctor. You're going to have certain things like, I don't know, like medical checkups or medical equipment. If you can't really walk well, generally you see this with a lot of retirement homes. But it's a really difficult time. So to some degree, it's like I understand why people are protesting. But then I also don't understand why people are protesting because there are also people who are legitimately dying, and these a lot of hospitals have been over flooded, and it's like, can they give them a break to kind of catch up with some research of how is this affecting people? A lot of people are not really operating through empathy by living through their own bubble of selfishness. Like just because they're bored, they want to be outside, they want to picnic and do all these things that they enjoy and get their to-go coffee and not wear masks or not wear gloves. Not And a lot of them think like, oh, we shouldn't live in fear, and that's true, you shouldn't, but you can also contract something as well. There was a pastor who decided to avoid the social distancing and continue on with his congregation, and guess what? That servant of God got coronavirus and he died. And that was a man who worked for God and for a church. So it doesn't matter how spiritual you are. I don't know. Maybe that was his life story. Maybe he was supposed to die from that. I'm not sure. But where I'm going with this is that we have to have empathy because people who've had to see people die or people who've worked in hospitals just want to tell other people to shut the hell up just because you're bored and whatever else. And then there's other people who've put their entire life savings or life energy and work into a business, and now they're seeing it tank and they don't really know what to do. Like, how much of the market is going to be hiring after this? I've applied for several positions throughout the last few months, and I've gotten emails that these positions are being on hold, or now the government is suffering, they can't do an employee wellness program. So a lot of us are kind of screwed at this point in time. So we need to continue that empathy. It's a lot easier said than done. It's not only empathizing, but it's feeling. And a lot of people, I think, tend to want to use certain things like the word karma in a sense that all people deserve it just because they're this or that. And I don't know. I'm not going to get on that topic. But what do you think? How can we be more empathetic during this time? It's balancing empathy between survival and finances, and also during or just continuing on with health. I think a lot of people who are the ones that aren't really working to pay their bills, they're dependent on somebody else, or they're dependent on just government assistance, they're taken care of, and they don't really understand what it's like to not have a job or to have to pay all of your bills, car insurance, health insurance, the mortgage, the rent, the utilities, the gas, the food, all of that stuff. It's really stressful. If you have any thoughts, definitely feel free to share. I guess we can all just ponder and reflect on empathy and just kind of, whether you sit in solitude or commune with God, whatever you do, just ask, how can I be more empathetic during this time? It's a time that we can give. Some people give their time. Some people give out knowledge and resources. Some people give out financial donations. We can all give in different ways. Sharing your knowledge is a form of giving. You don't always have to give money. All right. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. Have a great day and see you next time. Bye.